Club on 947.
Monday to Friday,
Listen every morning.
6 to 9 a.m.
Night Pulse with Bolele and Msizi on 947.
Doja Cat had a lot of South Africans in a frenzy yesterday. Based on some comments that she made pertaining to her dad, right? So she has now gone and changed the caption to that Instagram post that she posted yesterday. But, social media being social media, there are always screenshots that will make the rounds.
Because the internet is not written in pencil.
Yes, and it never forgets. All right, so she had posted a picture of her and her bums that were like pinched.
Yeah.
And captioned it, Dad, let me know when or if you need me to re-up your makeup cabinet because you a dude.
You're a B word, he called her.
Yes.
Called him.
And this had South Africa going crazy. A lot of people just feeling like, no, that is disrespectful. And she just kept responding to South Africans for the first time in a very long time, telling them, yeah, give me something else.
Yeah.
Tell me something else,
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is not out of character for Doja Cat.
It definitely
She's done
isn't.
these stunts for many, many months now, years going on, and that's a great way for her to get attention. But I think it rubs South Africans up the wrong way because culturally, us South Africans, not built like that.
We definitely aren't built like that. If anything, I think we all know and understand that you need to respect your elders, right?
Especially your parents.
And this had people feeling like, no, it doesn't matter whether your father is present or not, but you still need to respect him. We don't treat our elders like that. And that's the conversation that literally made the rounds yesterday. But it got me thinking.
Yeah.
Is it ever justified to cut your parents off and then publicly slander them when they've done you dirty? When they've done you dirty being the operative phrase.
Yeah. Because I think it's, of course, always, it is justified in many situations to cut your parents off. It's the slander part where I'm like...
Publicly
slander. I don't have a great relationship with my dad, and everyone knows that. And we don't really speak. But I don't know, and maybe it's because we don't have a great relationship that he can't do me dirty.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? We've never had a good relationship.
Sure.
So he's never done anything that would require me to either address it or publicly slander him. But I can imagine a situation where I would have to do that. If I was, and I'm going to put myself in Doja Cat's situation quick. If I was super famous and then my dad was doing like foul things. Because we don't know.
And he's also like on interviews speaking about Doja Cat like he is present in her life.
Yeah, if all of a sudden my father came out of the woodworks and started claiming any sort of my success, if I became super important or super famous, then I can see a situation where I would also publicly have to call him out. Calling him a B word, no.
Definitely not.
Maybe when
like
I was
that.
21, I would do that. I was reckless when I was 21. Maybe then I would have done that. But hey, man,
I think
it's tough.
Yeah, experiences are very different. Like if I were to even bring my own personal experience into this, I think to a certain extent it does get justified, especially if you moved from actually having a relationship with your father to not having one at all. And the reasons behind you guys not having one at all is just causing so much turmoil in your life and just really like making you look like the bad person. Then ultimately, if you get to a point where you want to clear your name, you're going to have to tell your story. And if your dad or that person, that elder in your family decided that they were going to be the monster in your story, then I don't think it's a you problem.
Yeah.
It then becomes a them problem because I'm just sharing my story, and how you chose to represent yourself in my story has nothing to do with me, but I just really need to find a space or a position where I actually get to vindicate myself and have you talking less about me in a negative way.
Listen, final answer from me, and prove me wrong or correct me if you think I'm wrong. Yes, the answer is yes. It is justified to cut your parents off and publicly slander them if they've done you dirty. I think yes.
I'm on the fence.
Okay.
I'm on the fence. So I'm from the perspective where I will tell my story. I'll tell my story, and if you are the villain in my story, that's how you represented
So be it,
yourself.
yeah.
But I won't, go out of my way to vilify you or go out of my way to slander you when there's no need. But if you are the villain and me telling my story is painting you to be the villain, then that's what you decided, that's the role you decided to play in my story, and there's nothing I can do about that. So slander, I'm not too sure, but if that's your story and that's how they appeared in your story, then it's justified. But let's hear from you. 066-381-8609. The phone lines are also open on 011-8838-947. Is it ever justified to cut your parents off and publicly slander them when they've done you dirty?
Night Pulse with Bolele and Msizi. on 947.
We're in conversation talking about whether it is justified for people to cut their parents off and publicly slander them when they've been done dirty by their parents. 066 3818609.
So nice.
I am Sizzy and Bolele. Interesting topic. It is vital to cut anybody off, even if it's your parents that mess with your inner peace. So if your parents are abusive in any way, shape or form, you have every right to cut them off. You don't owe them anything. Just because they gave birth to you or they made you or whatever, you don't owe anybody anything. You owe yourself to be happy. And if you have to be happy without them, so be it. Slandering them, I am not sure about that. I think it's a new thing. It's a new thing. Like as kids of the 80s and the 90s wouldn't do that, because we would just die inside and not be vocal about anything. It's how we were taught. But the 2000s, they don't waste time. They will make sure that they are on social media exposing you. But yeah, I guess it's just the way that we were brought up. Slandering them, I'm on the fence. But cutting them off, definitely.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, I think it definitely is a big generational difference. I mean, social media wasn't a thing. I think freedom as children wasn't a thing. But hey, man, I have
Also,
always believed that it is, just like she's saying, parents, family, children themselves are not exempt from the consequences of their behavior.
Absolutely. And I think, it doesn't necessarily make it a good thing that we kept quiet all these years when we knew what they're doing or how they are actually like hurting us, and I think maybe what the 2000s are doing now by actually being vocal about their problems is liberating a whole lot of other people.
Absolutely.
And giving them the confidence to then, voice some of the things that they have gone through at the hands of their elders.
Absolutely. And people are like, oh no, this generation is so soft. No. They're just standing up for themselves in a way that we perhaps didn't have the power to, the guts to, or the room to.
Yeah.
Society didn't want us to do any of that stuff. And I think society is quickly changing and we are evolving. And I think it is a good thing that people are being held accountable. You can't just be a bad parent.
And just get away with it. And we are now needing to keep quiet.
Yeah.
And you're being a bad parent and you are like somewhat breaking people.
It still happens to me now. Like my mom and I have this argument all the time about my dad. And she's like, no, you must forgive him. You must call him. I must call him? What are you talking? I did nothing. Why would I call this person?
It's not worth it sometimes to be the bigger person. I just feel like you don't have to put yourself in that position. Call him and then what? For him to just go and hurt you further.
Is the point you are getting?
No, please. Keep them coming. 066 381 8609.
Night Pulse with Bolele and Msizi on 947.
Is it justified for people to cut their parents off and publicly slander them? That's what we're talking about tonight.
Hey guys, how you doing? Our favorite kind of people. On this issue, I think I'll probably lean towards not justified publicly slandering your parent. Because, for example, on this Doja Cat issue, no one really knew what was going on until we start seeing some things on the social media about what not and what is. So I think when situations or when things like this happen, I think it's better to keep it in-house, like whatever it is, keep it undercover.
I don't know about keeping it undercover, man.
Yeah, we kept too many things undercover.
Too many, and that's left people broken. Even now, I think like parenting styles have changed because of people are carrying so much trauma, which is now extending the trauma to their kids, and their kids will, it's just going to create a very, very bad cycle, if anything.
Generational trauma is a real thing.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man, people on the other end too also saying, Joseph here saying, no, unfortunately, it's not for me. Even if I wanted to attempt it, I won't do it. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I'm built. It's not in me. I also don't think it's a matter of how you're raised, because it's possible for a person to be a different version of how they were raised, especially once you've reached your adulthood stages. Lastly, I wouldn't say the other side is wrong for doing it, because they're different people. We feel differently as people.
Yeah, man.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I just want everyone to understand what I'm saying. Respect your parents. Love your parents. Honor your parents. As the Bible says, all that stuff. But if your parents are bad people, and have done bad things to you or others, it is absolutely justified to cut them off.
Even the Bible says parents don't provoke your children.
Which chapter?
It's the same verse.
Okay.
Children, honor your mother and father, but parents don't provoke your
them.
children. It's biblical. It's biblical. I think it's just creating some sort of fairness because you're busy being poked, you're poked, and you must just deal with being poked.
Turn the other cheek.
No, please, man.